New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here comes the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, everybody.
We are Girls Behaving Metaphysically. We're so glad you're here. I'm Robyn Rice Olmsted.
And I'm Dr. Natasha Wilson. And
Dr. Natasha Wilson with good hair.
well, I flat ironed it, and I'm kind of enjoying it because I worn braids or something like that for, I don't know, like nonstop, I think like the last 2 years. So I almost forgot what my hair feels like or what it feels like to not have weight on my head. So it's nice. Yeah, it's nice.
Very nice.
Yes.
So welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. This is a show where we explore all kinds of ideas that help us live more into our clarity and our purpose. And today we're diving into Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. If you haven't been here the last couple of weeks, minus the holiday week, we were discussing Agreement 1 and 2. And now we are on Agreement 3. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. And today we are going to dive into don't make assumptions. So we're going to be doing this after the break, but you can start to think about how often we fill in the blanks in conversations and relationships or emails or anything, even just to discover later that we're completely wrong with whatever we've assumed or the story we've made up. And so assumptions can create a lot of unnecessary drama, misunderstandings, and even damage trust. So what we're going to do today is look at things like, what if we stopped guessing and started asking? Things like that. So we're going to unpack that later today.
Yeah, I think it's also really good when looking at the four agreements to look at how they each relate to each other.
Absolutely.
And you know, in the book, it says like, if you don't master any agreement, try to master the first one, and then the other ones will kind of they'll sort of unfold naturally. So I always like to look at, so how does making assumptions put us out of alignment with the four agreements, or put us out of alignment with taking things personally, or put us out of alignment with not being impeccable with our word, which means using the magic of the word for ourselves. So for our good and for the good of all. So yeah, I look forward to that discussion after the break.
Yes. Before the break, anything new going on over on that side of the world?
Well, nothing. I don't know.
In your week?
These days, I have finally deleted almost all of my I finally got control of my old Facebook account, like the one that still had me friends with my brothers who are now deceased. I could not I could not, Facebook would not give me like my password or let me change my password for years. So I finally got that done this week, and it felt like closing a chapter, like deleting that account and then deactivating my other accounts. It's only one account that I'm now, Facebook is not letting me deactivate, and it's an Instagram account. But anyways, I figured but that felt good. That felt like having some agency and control back in my life. So it felt really good.
Yeah, that's it. I understand. I mean, having been locked out of my Facebook for several years, it's an interesting feeling, like that this thing, even if you don't want to be on it, it still has control over you because you can't be on it and you can't get to it. And it's, you know what I mean? I know, you know what I mean. It's an interesting feeling. So,
Yeah.
so congratulations. Yay. That's a celebration.
Well, the other thing I want to share, I discovered something that is called functional non-alcohol. And I bought cases of them.
Oh, and so do tell, what is that? What does that
So the
really
one
mean?
I'm having right now is called Exhale.
Uh-huh.
And this one is more, it has it has a champagne type flavor, but it's filled with adaptogens and nootropics. So like lots of herbs, so like passion flower, chamomile, schisandra, things that just really bring you, like, help your nervous system sort of regulate. Yeah, and L-theanine, which also helps with like nervous system regulation, and they really work. I really like it. So I've replaced my alcohol consumption with these over the past week, and let me just tell you, I definitely feel the difference.
Yeah, I actually, when you said the name of it, I've heard about them under the names, and somebody was telling me too that they really liked them. Um, that's great. That's fantastic.
I know it's really great. It's like my belly's not as bloated as it was. Like it's amazing the effects that alcohol have on the body. Like, and I think like sometimes we don't even realize, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do know. Well, my week has been I don't know, it doesn't feel like a week. It feels like run on time since we had last week off, and just,
Mm.
like I'm so aware of no time and space. On the one hand, like somebody called me to tell me that I missed their birthday, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but I I haven't arrived in December yet. you know, it's just not in my. I haven't, and I'm not aware of like calendar days. Like, I don't have a job where I go December 5th, and
Mm.
put the date on everything. So everything just kind of feels like run on. Plus, Gil has had pneumonia,
Oh
my
no.
husband. Yeah. And so it's been, we've, I've been home a lot and caretaking a lot. And so it's just interesting because you get in that mode, or I get in that mode where I'm like, oh, come on, we don't need to do anything. Let's just snuggle and watch a movie. And I could do that for about 3 or 4 weeks and be okay.
Mm.
But then there's the real world that isn't on my time frame. So it's
I
been
tell
interesting.
I tell you what, I made a decision that I am going to live more like in Australia next year. Like, I feel like that is my meaning. Like, I'm taking regular time off. Um, Even this year, I hardly ever, like, I'll take off like Christmas Eve and Christmas, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. But then I'll still like work, like, you know, like, but this year, it's been really hard, but I'm taking at least one full week and maybe two and possibly three.
Good for you.
I know. I'm nervous about it because it just, you know, I live in Australia, but I'm an American culturally. So I'm used to working myself until I drop to the floor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and especially you. I mean, because like you said, you have that makeup and you're a lifelong learner. So you're always delving into things. You know.
Well, that's the other thing I said I wasn't going to do this year. I'm not, well, I shouldn't say. I was going to say I'm not studying anything formally this coming year. This last year was such a big transition for me that I feel like this coming year, it's all about, for me, at least that's, you know, this is my affirmation, that I am seeking to live aligned with the sense of peace and calm. Like I'm reclaiming my nervous system sovereignty. So, and I'm going to believe that the universe has my back in that.
Amen, sister. You know, I trust that that's true. I think that, you know, that's a good place to be, you know, but it definitely is a different, I don't know about for you. I would say though, for me, just trying to put those kind of things in place, it is a different journey. Like at the beginning of the year, I claimed that this was going to be the best year ever. And not that it was a bad year, but I mean, it was filled with a lot of things that I wouldn't necessarily categorize that way. And I also see where it was taking care of, you know, health issues or getting things out of the way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so we were taking.
Oh, you're frozen, Robyn. I can't hear you.
It's happening. All right. So I don't know what that little glitch was. Did you have it on your side too?
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said.
It doesn't matter. I said it didn't look the way I would necessarily categorize the best year ever. And I can also see where a lot of it was taking care of things to really be able to clear the plate for the best year and the best times ever. You know, health-wise, money-wise, whatever, all those, you know, all the possible categories. So let's pull a card. It's time for the card pull of the week. Producer Michael, we need some music for that. You have music for your show. We need like
a drum roll or, oh, you're frozen again.
I went away again.
You did.
It's magical, isn't it?
Like you disappear and you come back. Disappear and come back.
I don't know. Maybe Michael Mangus disappeared me because I said, Producer Michael, we need music for our card pull of the week. You know, so a sassy little da-da-da-da kind of thing.
You don't understand that kind of stuff is copyrighted. So I have to find something that's not copyrighted or we get dinged on YouTube.
I do understand. So that will be a fun project.
Is that my assignment for the next week?
Maybe, or I could have somebody else write something for us right there. Like our fabulous song.
I mean, you have connections.
It's so true.
All right.
All right.
Enjoy your card pull of the week.
Since you're here, Mike. Oh, you're gone. Look how magical we all are.
What
All
now?
right.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
was gonna let you pull the card, but you went
no,
away.
No, I will pull the card here.
Okay, tell me when to stop. We are on the Soul Traveler Journey card.
Stop.
Solitude. In silence, peace prevails. In silence, peace prevails.
Hmm.
So what does that mean? I think for Michael, it meant be quiet and find us something that will work. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. What do you think?
There's a drum beat.
See, now he's got audio. I see how this works. Okay. All right.
In silence, peace prevails. Is that no silence?
No, cricket. The symbol of silence.
The symbol of silence.
I got you, Michael. I got you. Okay, that's our passive aggressive producer, Michael Mangus, who you can see on Friday nights here live on New Thought Media Network. Now, back to us.
Passive aggressive.
You know, I'm gonna let you
listen, I'll tell you if I'm angry.
I'm about to become cool girl and let you all have this back.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right.
All right. All right, what do you got, Natasha?
I don't have anything. I have quiet. I have solitude. So in silence, peace prevails. I don't know. I guess the first thing that comes up for me is like, yeah, I think that's why I always turn back to my sitting practice, my meditation sitting practice.
To be in the stillness?
To be in the side, like once, like my head, because the thing that's the noisiest is my head. And so learning how to work with that through my breath, they're not always these long sustained moments of lack of brain chatter, as I like to call it. But when I am consistent in my sitting practice, there is this silence that happens in my head, and it really is peaceful. And I do get that when I have solitude, but I sometimes can get it without solitude. Like there are ways to create silence or spaces for silence just in how we interact. You know, this new electronic medical record system that I use and that I use for seeing clients online, it analyzes how much space happens between each interaction. So the therapist says something, then it measures like how much time before the client says something, and then the client says something, and then how much time before the therapist says something. And it's just been a really great tool because it's helped me remember why allowing silence to be a part of conversations, even though I think we're socialized to feel awkward about silence in conversations or pauses. But when we do, it's like there is this like nervous system like settling. There's a calming. And calm, I always know calm is the gateway to peace, right? So we're on our way to peace when we feel calm. So yeah, anyways, that's what was coming up for me. What comes up for you?
Well, a couple things, but I'm going to try to read what the card says here. It says, card meaning: in silence, you'll find a depth of self-awareness as well as inner peace. This is, I can't read it. I need my husband's glasses. Well, it goes on to say that what the sacred traveler wants you to know is your peace is born in silence. Sometimes the traveler is in such a hurry to reach the next peak that he gets separated from his spiritual source. And I think I was thinking about the silence in terms of the 4 agreements. And especially the one today, because as we delve into the don't make assumptions, like sometimes that's what happens in the silence. It's not always the peace. Sometimes it's the craziness or the crazy makers or the voices of, whatever, those gone by. And so our job is somehow to find our way back to that silence that brings the peace, that allows the stillness, that tells us those are just thoughts and voices passing through. Can you get to the real silence and allow that to be okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think it really connects quite lovely with what I shared earlier about why meditation practice is so important. Because when we do get quiet and we do sit, or however we meditate, and we can do walking meditation, I like to do sitting meditation, but it doesn't just automatically get quiet in our heads, right? Like there's so much noise usually when we first sit, and it's not even for me, I don't experience it as like trying to get to the quiet or get to the silence. To me, like it's about remembering it through my breath, remembering it through being in my body and being like feeling my inner body. And then it's that directed, like that attention that is so like I don't even know what you call it. It's like it's not distracted attention. It's an attention that is so in the rhythm of the breath that the crazy, the noise, the chatter, the busyness in the brain, other people's words, our words, whatever, they disappear. And then there is peace. So I think, when I look at this, it just makes me think about like, how do we sustain and maintain a practice that prioritizes realigning with silence and realigning with quiet in our heads mostly, right? Yeah, that's what's coming up for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing to contemplate and the sounds of silence and stillness, and there's a lot there. There's a lot there. So let us know in the chat, what it means to you, or share that with us. And I think we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and get to our third agreement. Don't make assumptions. Da, da, da. Okay. I'll do my own musical interludes. All right. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back here on New Thought Media Network. Thanks.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here comes the girl. It's more than practical. Here comes the girl. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, we are back. Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robyn Rice Olmsted.
Dr. Natasha Wilson here with you today, going through the 4 agreements, not making assumptions.
That is the agreement of the day. Agreement number 3, not making assumptions.
Don't make assumptions. Why?
Oh, where to begin? Well, yeah, don't make assumptions. And I mean, I guess the point is to seek clarity, because if we're making it up, it's not necessarily the truth of the situation, right? And assumptions can lead to conflict and resentment, disappointment, mistrust, all of those things, if we don't get real clarity. So what's your feeling on this?
Oh, I thought you were having like thoughts were moving through and you were about to say more.
I have a lot of thoughts going on. Yeah, I do. I think, as we said earlier, reviewing the the agreements. The first one, be impeccable with your word, which we've determined is all roads lead to that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, I would say be impeccable with your word also means being impeccable with your actions on some level. The second agreement, don't take anything personally, which is my personal favorite.
Mm.
And then today, don't make assumptions. And what I really find going into this book, because I've read this book I don't know how many times, or done a class, or I've used it as the textbook in classes I've taught. And
Mm-hmm.
I think every time I go over it, I get something different. You know, I glean something different, or it's more impactful in a different way. And I think what really stood out for me about this part of the book was when he talks about the fear involved in not making the, you know, in making assumptions, and our fear to our fear of asking questions, or you know, what came up for me, or it's the fear of not knowing, because we all think we have to know things, you know, fear of being wrong, all of those things, you know, so we don't ask because we just assume. And you know, I think, you know, we generally slide by with that. But that was, I thought that was really powerful, because I do think it takes a lot of this might sound a little dramatic, but a lot of courage sometimes to ask questions, you know, a lot
Yeah.
of courage to speak up.
No, I think that's absolutely, correct. Absolutely correct. I think the thing is that we, you know, for so many of us, because we didn't necessarily grow up with, you know, the most attuned parenting, and our parents may have been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. Like a lot, you know, and as a therapist, I see this a lot. There's so much fear of abandonment, right? Like that's operating in why we hold back, why we would rather make an assumption instead of asking directly. This particular agreement for me is so directly tied to the second one, so clearly in my mind. And I don't know what this is. Hang on a second. I just have something popping up on my screen and I don't really know what to do with it. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, because
Just ignore it.
the moment that we take something, like to make an assumption, it's like we're already taking something personally. Because we're going like inside of our own personal self and making a decision about why a thing is happening, or why someone is either behaving or saying or doing something a particular way. We go inside of ourselves for that information. We don't seek the information. So we automatically take it personal because we're seeking information through our own person about something that is not our person. So it takes us out of alignment with the second agreement automatically when we're making assumptions. And often, because our assumptions are based in fear of something, then we are out of alignment with the first agreement. Because now we're not because being impeccable with our word means what? Using the power of the word. And we have to remember, word isn't just speech. Word means it in the biblical sense. Word as thought, word as speech, word as behavior and action.
Yeah,
And
word as beingness.
Yes. So if we are using the power of the word against ourselves, and that's what we're doing often when we're making assumptions and we're not seeking information because we're afraid of whether it's abandonment or whatever. We're already using the power of the word against ourselves, and we've now made it personal. And so we're just out of alignment with the other agreements.
Yeah, I hear you, and I want to. Yes, I want, and I want to stay focused on like just this one, in the sense of, because I hear you, and that all makes perfect sense, and it's still, at the end of the day, it goes back to, so what do we do? So we ask questions, we don't judge, we don't assume, we so somehow it involves us becoming more vulnerable on some level, to be able to ask questions and not assume, um, and try to communicate openly. And that's not, like you said before, that's not, there are certain social constructs that we've inherited, that's not always the comfortable place to live from, you know.
Hmm. And all of this work, I often think that, and it's true that there are like, I think when we consciously step on the spiritual path, like consciously, we're all on a spiritual path, whether we know it or not. But when we consciously step on a spiritual path and we consciously sort of put our heart into the process of becoming more of what life created us for, there is this notion that, oh, I'm stepping on the path. It's all gonna be so beautiful. I'm gonna be able to hear the trees sing and the flowers twirl. And yet what happens is so much of the work, sort of looks a lot like what Carl Jung calls like shadow work, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, really looking at those things that have almost operated as blockages to us really living into ourselves as an emanation of the divine on planet Earth. And yeah, part of that is going to be really uncomfortable. So, looking at not making assumptions as a spiritual practice and principle, it is going to be hard. It is not going to be comfortable. And that's exactly why we do it.
Yeah, and I think part of getting to that place where that's, um, where we can put that into practice. I was going to say a comfortable practice, but I don't know that it's going to be comfortable. So
Yeah.
where it's a practice is, I think, trying to, how do I want to say this? I don't know. Just being able to begin to ask questions, if that's hasn't been your MO, or to say what you need, because the whole don't make assumptions is really based on us having open, clear, clean communication. I mean, imagine the difference we would have in relationships. Let's just take romantic relationships for now. Because there's the stage where you think, oh my God, why didn't he know that I wanted that? Or why didn't she know that I wanted that? And what that they're not thinking, and we go through this thing where we think the other person should know, or intuit, or have had the experience that we've said it or we've done it, or instead of talking it through and asking either for what we need or talking about it.
Can
You
you give
know,
an example of that? Like an actual concrete example?
I'm just talking about times in relationships like where I can't think of a specific one in my life, but where I've thought like some partner of mine should have known, what they should have known. They should. I mean, I guess Gil and I do it all the time, and the good part is, probably 95% of the time it works. That I know what he's thinking, or I know what he wants, or I can assume based on previous experience that this is what will, you know, fit the need of whatever's happening. And the 5% where it doesn't work, it's horrible because it works so well when it works, and if instead of just thinking, oh, I don't know why my brain's not going to examples, but instead of thinking, oh, this year he'll take me out for my anniversary or whatever, if I just said, you know what, what I'd really love this year is to go out for our anniversary and blah blah blah, or if I could share it instead of waiting and then being disappointed that it didn't happen the way I thought, and why isn't he more romantic? And this is all made up. This is not a true story at this very moment. Not that it hasn't ever happened, but at this moment, I'm not basing it on real life. But you get what I'm saying, right? Because I think it happens in people's relationships all the time.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And so
Yes.
the question, I mean, so I guess the question becomes, why are humans so quick to uh, assume rather than asking directly? And for me, the answer has a lot to do, like we talked about a little bit in the beginning. You know, sometimes you have to become very vulnerable to hear the true answers to things. Even if it's just you reconciling with what you thought. You know, and so if we say vulnerability or there's some other answer, how do we get to that place of being able to move into, and like just like you said, it does go back to the other agreements, obviously not taking it personally and standing in that power of being impeccable with our word.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I I guess I can only grapple with this from my own personal experience, right? As I've done the work and continue to do the work to try to be aware of when I'm making assumptions. And I think there are assumptions that are benign, and I think there are assumptions that are not so benign. And like, uh, I assume that tomorrow, or like the sun will go down, or rather the earth will rotate and it'll appear like the sun is going down. I just assume that's going to happen, right? These are benign assumptions. But the truth is, like, when I think about my history of assumption making in relationships, whether I was assuming something for the best, or assuming the worst, for me, it was about maintaining some semblance of control.
Mm.
And what I've learned about myself is whenever I am trying to have some semblance of control that has to do with something outside of myself, that is usually the underlying thing that I'm actually addressing is fear. And then what I've learned also is the underlying that is often a fear of abandonment or a fear of um, being ostracized, or whatever, right? So which all still goes back to like a fear of abandonment, a fear of not being worthy of connection somehow, right? Um, this is why sometimes we're not vulnerable. Um, is because we want to feel, I think we desire connection so much that it's one of the reasons we learn to wear a mask. Um, because, right, when we're out of alignment with the first agreement and the second agreement, um, we're not always showing up as us, because as us could mean rejection. Um, it could mean, all these things, all these fears. And so for me, again, that's why I said it, like I have to look at it from my own personal lens. Like when I'm engaged in assumption making in the context of relationships, it's usually connected to needing this semblance of, like, some semblance of control. Um, and underneath that is usually fear.
Yeah, well, I think that's the basic thing under making assumptions, even though it may not always feel like that. Um, in the moment, I mean, but yeah, I think that I think that that's true, and so here's another question for you. That
Do we
okay,
have
it would
Are
be
there babies in the background?
well. I'm about to teach a bunch of teenagers and little kids, so
Okay.
they're all out in the waiting room. But here's a question for you, or for all of us. So, what's the balance, or is there a balance between in, intuition and assumption, or are they totally fundamentally different?
Oh, to me, they're different. To me.
They're different, but I think I mean, I think they're total. Yes, technically and logically, they're totally different. And does that play into sometimes why we don't ask?
No, not for me. I'm sorry that this is very clear for me. No, I'm not sorry. No, this is very clear for me.
No reason to be sorry. It's just a question.
Exactly. That's why I was like, okay, no, sorry. Like, I'm just saying, it's very clear for me. It'd be good to hear from other people, but no. For me, intuition is a whole different, it feels like it lives in a whole different realm. And because I've done so much work to reclaim my intuition and to know when my intuition is active, like I know what it feels like in my body when my intuition is active, and my intuition is never necessarily about someone. My intuition is usually, it's active about a situation or a process, and it's a very embodied experience. Um, and yeah, no, not for me. Not for me. But I'd be curious to hear how other people experience their intuition in a way that it could cross wires with, like, making assumptions. I find that curious.
I could see where it crosses wires, and I totally agree with what you're saying. I think for me, it lives in obviously in two different places, and and I don't, I don't, well, I do act on my intuition sometimes. I mean, in that sometimes maybe that's why I don't ask, but that's more of a guidance to not ask as opposed to think I know why something is happening.
Yeah,
Does
yeah,
that
that's
make
what I
sense?
mean. Like it's such a different thing. Like to me, it's just such a different thing. Um, because again, when I'm consciously experiencing what I understand as intuition, it is a very, very embodied experience, and it is usually about a process or a situation. It's never like about knowing why someone else is, or assuming I know why someone else is doing something.
But I'm not even saying in that way. Like I was more thinking of it in terms of like if I'm having a conversation with you
Mm-hmm.
and I get an intuitive hit about something,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily going to ask you about that. Yet it may inform either what I don't ask you about or my next move. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I don't know. I mean, so much of this is not for me is not a conscious process. I'm trying to dissect it right now. But yeah, I don't know.
No, I think it's an interesting question, and it's just one I never thought of because like those two things live in such separate worlds in my psyche. But I think I'm starting to sort of get a sense of where you're coming from, in the sense of like if I'm having a conversation with you and you say something, and then let's say I get this intuitive hit, and that intuitive, like the intuitive hit, it has an embodied experience for me. I know what it like feels like on my skin when I'm having an intuitive hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually because there's something in it that's resonating for me.
Right.
And if I get an intuitive hit and it's resonating for me, sometimes I'll ask, or I'll say, "Ooh, I just had like this beautiful intuitive hit. What did you just experience? What was this like for you?" Like, like so yeah, so like it's almost like to me, like when I get an intuitive hit, it leads me to like kind of do the opposite of making an assumption. Like I seek out like what the other person has just experienced.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like that kind of
Oh,
collaborative in the moment, like when you're with a client. Like I get that when I'm with clients, that. I
well,
get
even with friends.
yeah, or with friends, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I was thinking more just in general. And I don't know. I think it's different when you move into the realm of friends and all that. But it is an interesting question. I don't know. Just a thought. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Okay.
And another thought is that we're almost out of time.
Yes.
So um so I would say that my challenge for the week would be that when you catch yourself in the act of making an assumption, whether it's with your partner or at your work or, whatever, even in an email or whatever you're thinking, that you just really take a moment and acknowledge that. And instead of holding onto that assumption, just kind of take a pause, take a breath, and ask a clarifying question. And
Mm,
it might be to the person, it might even be to yourself, you know?
mm,
I mean, sometimes we can catch ourselves in our story, I think,
yeah. And it
and
really tells lovely with the card that came up, which was about silence. In silence, peace prevails, right? So when we pause, that's basically what we're doing, right?
right.
We're getting silent, we're pausing. and then we can get more clear.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're allowing that space,
Yeah.
allowing that space not, not to know,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
We're really giving ourselves that moment of freedom in some ways. So anyway, I would just say just play around. Just play around with that and see where it takes you. And we'll be back next week with the last of the 4 agreements.
Yes, yes, yes. Have a
All right.
beautiful weekend, people. It's Friday
Have a
here.
fantastic weekend. It's Friday there. It's Friday Eve here. And we are ready to allow it, the non-alcoholic drinks or whatever you partake in, to begin. So we just want to thank you, and in this time of gratitude and Thanksgiving, we're grateful for all of you. And if you are so inclined during this giving week, we love it when you donate to New Thought Media Network. It helps us continue this programming and make a difference in the world. So thank you so much for all that you do, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Blessings. Bye.